Hi, this is Jan, also known as Halfbyte, and I just wanted to quickly give you an introduction to something that I've just started working on, which is version 2 of my live coding web audio tool called liv3c0der. I know the name is kind of lame. And the reason I wanted to do a video on this is because it's twofold. I wanted to play around a little bit more with YouTube. This is just something that I wanted to try to do a little bit more for some time now. And the second thing is that I hope that the prospect of doing a video series on this will keep me working a little bit more regularly on liv3c0der, because I really want to turn this into something that I can actually use for live acts a little bit better than I used to, by shaping the APIs in ways that make it more comfortable for me as a musician. Okay, what I'm going to show you in this video is what I have right now, which is not much, arguably, and give you a little bit of background on what I'm going to change in contrast to the liv3c0der that is currently available at liv3c0der.com. I'm not going to show you any application code. This will be up on GitHub pretty soon, and I will tweet about it, so you can directly take a look. But yeah, let's go through this. So if you ever seen my other videos about this, like my JSConf.eu video from 2013 or the 2014 intro, then you're going to recognize a couple of things. So the first one is there's still a pattern function. The parameters are a little bit different. I'm going to talk about that in a second. I completely ripped out or left out the canvas stuff for now. I've never really used that in a live situation, and so I figured out, it's probably hard enough for me to do music. Do both in parallel would kind of be overkill. So one thing I added is this once function, which will be called once for every time I evaluate this code. Evaluation still works with pressing Command Enter or Control Enter. And this is helpful because in the old version of liv3c0der, I never really had a good way or a good place to do these configuration things, and now there's this once function that will work perfectly for that. So pattern. Currently 2 parameters. One is the T array, which is the same as in the old liv3c0der. Going to talk about that in a second. And S is just the length of one pattern slot. T is an array of timestamps, and these timestamps are the pattern slots, of which there are 16 by default, so almost like a typical drum machine. And the timestamps are for the next pattern invocation. And so together with T and S, you have all the information to schedule audio events into the next pattern. This node function here is something I just built to have some sort of tone generation in here. This is a very minimal sort of synthesizer. And what I'm going to focus on now is the sort of helpers I really want to focus on for this release, because I hope that they will make creating music much easier. So let me just quickly comment something out here. So this is some sort of bass drum pattern. These are like the four to the floor slots, 0, 4, 8, and 12. And I'm playing a very low note here, and I'm using a sine wave for that. So if I'm going to run this, you're going to hear the first note is a bit higher. The other notes are C's. This is a D sharp, you hear this booming, which is, supposed to be a bass drum. Of course, this is going to sound much better as soon as I have a proper bass drum generator. So the note function takes 2 arguments. The first one is kind of the slot you want to use, and the second one is a frequency you want to play something on. And this is the first helper I've built, which is the N function, stands for note. And this will just take any sort of idea of a note and turn it into a frequency. So for example, this is a D sharp in the 2nd octave. I can play this 1 octave higher or 1 octave lower. And the interesting thing here is that it tries to be smart about parsing this, but you can also just give it a MIDI number. So something like this. Will also work. Let's get this. Okay, now it's a C2 as well. So this is kind of fun, and this will help tremendously because I don't have to calculate the MIDI notes in my head. I can just write out notes as it should be. Okay, so the second thing is a little bit more convoluted here. The CH function stands for chord, and you give it a bass note and a chord type, which is really fun. I can define my own chord types here, and an offset. And it will call this function with an iterator on every note that the chord is generating. So this is a minor chord, and let me just play 1 note here. Come on. So and if you look at how this works, you will see that the reason the pitch actually changes is because I have this offsets array that is dependent on the current loop. So this dot loop is also one of the new things. This is just a counter that counts up for every pattern that is evaluated. Okay, so this is a minor chord, and this has 3 tones. So I can also turn this into a -7. Or let's say a major 7. So this is quite interesting. Gives me a lot of flexibility when working with chords, and because it's working as an iterator, I can just put in whatever I want here. So let's build a full melody. This is already pretty funky, right? With just very little code, and with very little code, I mean both in this pattern function, but also in liv3c0der itself. And this is one direction I really want to go in, like these small helper functions. Probably still with very cryptic names, but they are going to help me tremendously in quickly building patterns, and this is what I'm going for. So let's see how this goes, and I hope to see you soon with an update on liv3c0der. Thank you very much for watching.